record. Okay. Alright, hello there. Forgot what I was gonna say. Not done this. Okay, alright. This week, let's see, let's check the thread. Unfortunately, the video from last week, I have the video, but the sound file is just gone. So if you want to watch the blank video, fine. But yeah, now I'm recording with Audacity on the side. So if anyone's got an idea as to what I can use in place of that, fine. But in the meantime, I'm just recording a separate audio file and splicing it in later. Where's my thread here? Huzzah! Where are we? You know what? I'm just gonna go to the other thread because it's more easily accessible. Where are we here? Poof! Alright, oh yes. Z-Spider. Someone suggested My Little Zombie, Brains Are Magic, by Z-Spider. What's funny is I actually thought it was gonna be a comedy. And, it turns out, tragedy, sad, dark, all in once. I think that's a little overuse of tags. Tragedy and sad are usually mutually exclusive. But, you know, it's funny is that's actually my favorite type of... Oh, and it's gore as well. This should be fun. Wonder if I should actually do Sweet Apple Massacre this week as well. Someone suggested that to me. I've always wanted to read Sweet Apple Massacre, but I don't know. I never got around to it. I might do it on here eventually, but I didn't want to scare everyone off. Just like how dark things are. So, alright, we're just going to check this out. Boof. Never read this before. Alright, I'm just going to check to see that you can see. You can all see that, right? Yeah, we can see this fine. Sweet. Alright, let's center screen on this. Perfect. Now you can see the words. You can read along with me if you'd like. Goody goody. Alright, let's go. Chapter 1. The meadow outside of the Everfree Forest, in contrast to the dark woods itself, was quite peaceful and calm on most days. A yellow Pegasus pony casually trotted alongside the edge of the forest. There was a light breeze throughout the meadow, with tendrils gently pushing against the pony's bright pink mane. This is Fluttershy. The gentle aroma of flowers wafted through the air was met by the sound of a few buzzing cicadas. Fluttershy! Yep, I was right. Fluttershy heard birds singing nearby, and she smiled softly to herself. She briefly wondered if the birds would be interested in joining her choir. She looked up, searching for the source of the beautiful music. Fluttershy needed to squint and shield her eyes from the sun's shining brilliance. You don't say. It shone brighter than it had all... I would have put today in there. Today it shone brighter than it had all week, and there wasn't a cloud in the vivid blue sky. She made a quick mental note to thank the other Pegasus ponies for such a beautiful day. Oh dear. She shook her head a bit, focusing on her task at hoof. I'm not here to admire the weather. I have a mission, she reminded herself. Well, it's sort of a mission, kind of. Fluttershy had come here looking for any animals she could find outside the Everfree Forest. Most animals that came from the forest were usually injured or sick, due to the nature of the forest itself. She did this every now and then, not wanting to get too crowded at her cottage. She had quite a few animals to tend already. Still, the mere notion of leaving a poor animal in need of help behind, Fluttershy felt a shiver go down her spine. She had already been out here for quite some time. She was about to go home when she heard a whimper not too far from her. The sunny-colored Pegasus gasped, quickly galloping toward the weak cry. I just realized I read much faster than I'm capable of fluently talking. I should have known that, but I just find it funny. On the very edge of the forest was this little ball of fur. I'm sorry. Little ball of fur is... I watch Big Bang Theory, and that just reminds me... Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. I'm sorry. Continuing with story. Upon getting closer, Fluttershy discovered it was a small brown female rabbit. Fluttershy rushed to the rabbit's side. Her fur was all matted and messy. with the occasional bald patch. She was shivering, coughing. She even felt a little bit clammy. Wait, this is Fluttershy. This here, you should... Oh, scroll down. Fluttershy, unless this is Fluttershy, this shouldn't be here. Like, unless you're in, like, a... What is it, True Omniescent or something? You're not supposed to, like... I don't know. I guess you can do it. It bugs me when people just, like, randomly switch between character. Whatever. Anyways. Oh dear, there, Miss Rabbit. It'll be okay, Fluttershy in her hushed, caring voice. She gingerly lifted the rabbit up with her front hoof and laid it on her back. I'll take you to my home. We'll get you a nice, warm bed, and I'll do my best to make you feel all better. Does that sound like a good plan, Miss Rabbit? Fluttershy gave the rabbit a soft smile. The rabbit formed a weak smile in response and started to whimper its gratitude to its yellow Pegasus savior, but only managed to get out a hacking cough that shook her little body. Fluttershy gasped slightly. Oh my! And with that, she began quickly trotting back to her cottage, careful not to let the weak bunny fall over. Fluttershy had strayed Fluttershy hadn't strayed too terribly far from her home, so it took only a few minutes to bring the sick rabbit there. As the little winged pony found herself on the... Okay, Fluttershy is not little, other than... I mean, she's older than most of the canon characters, I think. She's like a year older than them. And... her having... Unless she's flying... Even then, wings really doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm sorry for reviewing this while I'm reading it, but bugs me. On the paved street that led to her house, she let out a soft sigh of relief. Her cottage came into view. Fluttershy's cottage was cozy, small, and above all else, natural. Its roof was thatched from long dry grass and leaves, giving the cottage a squat, tree-like facade. Or facade. I can't remember. Is it facade or facade?
Facade.
Facade? Okay, it is facade. There was a dirt path that led over a gently flowing stream and raised up to the cottage's simple wooden floor. Amid the various small trees and other foliage that were nests, birdhouses, and flowers of all kinds. Normally every pony could see all the different critters Fluttershy had adopted frolicking around in the sunlight. However, this was strangely not the case, Fluttershy observed as she crossed the natural bridge. Whatever. For some reason, all of the animals had gone inside when she drew close. She didn't have the time to reflect on it for long, though. The rabbit's wheezing grew louder still, almost violent. Fluttershy's eyes widened. Oh my! Hold on, Miss Rabbit. We're almost there. The rabbit attempted to give Fluttershy a pathetically weak smile, but just ended up coughing even more. Fluttershy realized that she didn't have a lot of time, and her heart began to race. She finally pushed through the front door of her home. Her living room was simple and small. There was a lot of the basic furniture inside of it. The only thing that stood out was the occasional birdcage or small pet bed. There were a couple rugs with flower motifs laid upon its hardwood floor, and there was also a flight of stairs near the center of the room that led to Fluttershy's bedroom. Fluttershy carefully laid the sickly... Darn this thing. Fluttershy carefully laid the sickly rabbit upon one of her green couches. The rabbit's wheezing had subsided somewhat, and her breathing was still shallow and raspy. The Pegasus pony's crystal blue eyes met with the rabbit's pleading, bloodshot brown eyes. You should have said Fluttershy there, too. Oh well. Fluttershy pressed her hoof against the rabbit's forehead, but pulled it away in shock. Oh my! You're running quite the fever, Miss Rabbit. Hold on for just a moment, okay? Fluttershy turned and sprinted up the stairs. Moments later, she returned with a lavender blanket clutched in her teeth. She laid it on top of the rabbit gingerly, who whimpered her thanks. Fluttershy took a moment to pause and glanced around the room. She had finally spotted where all the other animals had run off to. Most, if not all of them, were huddled together in different corners of the room. Their eyes were all fixed upon the shivering bunny beneath the purple blanket. Fluttershy frowned a bit. Usually the animals were more friendly towards newcomers, but she had also known about all animals' innate sense of self-preservation. Obviously, whatever the sickly bunny had was gravely serious, and the other animals were not keen about catching it. I'm clean! I'm clean! The only animal that wasn't hiding away in a corner was a small, fluffy white bunny named Angel. Ah, Angel. He cautiously approached Fluttershy with a worried expression. She gave Angel a reassurance. The little white bunny raised an eyebrow in uneasiness while hopping onto the couch. He had been her closest companion for many years, longer than any of her other animal friends. Angel gave Fluttershy a look that said, I don't like this, but I'll help if you need be. Oh no, man. Fluttershy nodded and gave Angel her thanks. Is there anything at all that I can get you, Miss... Oh, is there anything at all that I can get you, Miss Rabbit? Fluttershy turned to ask the brown bunny, exuding an air of motherly care and concern. The rabbit stuck its tongue out and licked its dry lips. Fluttershy got the hint and instantly sprinted to her kitchen and returned almost a second later with a small bowl of water. She set it carefully down next to the rabbit's head. The rabbit leaned over and began to slowly and weakly drink. Fluttershy frowned and felt despair well up inside of her. She had dealt with several sick and injured animals before, but none so close to death. The only time it had come to even close to this was when she abducted and tried to heal Princess Celestine's feet. That was a funny episode. Even then, Fluttershy had more time to nurse Philomena, and bunnies don't come back after they pass. The brown bunny's eyes began to grow heavy. They began to glow. Her shallow breathing began to slow considerably. Fluttershy's eyes widened in panic. Oh no! Oh no 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 no! Fluttershy said, Oh dear, what do I do? Oh, I know, maybe I have some medicine that will help. The pink-maned Pegasus dashed off into the kitchen, frantically looking for something. Once again, Angel leaned in to inspect the sick bunny. She had stopped wheezing and coughing as much, but she was still shivering and sweating. The white bunny folded its arms inside. She didn't want to imagine how devastated Fluttershy would be if this newcomer died, which looked like a strong possibility by that point. I almost can't read this out loud. Arrgh! Shouted a voice from the kitchen that brought Angel's train of thought to a halt. Angel's train of thought? Wait, we were... Oh, Angel leaned into... I glazed right over that. Fluttershy sped back into the room. I've run all out of rabbit medicine, Fluttershy said quickly. I have to run to the market to get some more. I'll be right back, Miss Rabbit. Angel, please look after her while I'm gone. And with that, Fluttershy flung open the front door and flew off. Angel swore that she was moving quicker than Rainbow Dash usually did. It's a scary thought. He returned his attention back to the little brown rabbit that was causing so much trouble. Angel stopped cold. The other rabbit wasn't coughing, wheezing, shivering, or sweating anymore. In fact, she wasn't even breathing. Angel's eyes widened and his little stomach did a somersault. I'm sorry. I'm imagining the stomach actually flipping over. It's funny. Angel began to frantically fan the other rabbit with his voice. Wake up, wake up, wake up, you little rabbit, hoping that it would spontaneously revive her. When it yielded no results, he grabbed the bowl of water next to the rabbit and dumped it on her head, hoping the shock would wake her up. Still no response. Tossing aside the bowl, Angel grabbed the rabbit by the shoulders and shook her. She slapped her across the face a couple times. Nothing. Oh, slapped her across the face a couple times. Nothing. He let go of her and took a step back. His mind raced and he began to hyperventilate. The rabbit next to him had suddenly bolted upright with her eyes still closed, nearly making Angel jump at least 2 feet out of his skin. Again, trying to actually imagine that happening. Kind of funny looking. His surprise was instantaneously replaced with a deep sense of relief. The brown rabbit's eyelids... I need to slow down reading. Alright, I'm going to try and read the rest of this slowly. The brown rabbit's eyelids tore open to reveal glossy, milky white orbs. Yeah, I can see... Oh. Darn. I have activity. I need to... This is urgent. Oh, it's not urgent. Never mind. The brown rabbit's eyelids tore open to reveal glossy, milky white orbs. Angel paled and his stomach did more somersaults. He's white. How pale could he get? The crowded streets of Ponyville boomed with vivacity. Shops lined the streets, and merchants hollered from their stalls. The lively hustle and bustle of the town made Lyra and Bonbon, 2 fillies who were the closest of friends, smile. They're not fillies. Fillies are young ponies. Lyra and Bonbon, as far as I can see them, are mares. Of course, there are also background ponies, but that's not relevant in a story. Well, it sort of is. But anyway, they both prefer the busier parts of Ponyville. They were on their way to the market to pick up groceries for the evening, as the cream-colored Bonbons... growling belly reminded them. Okay, yes, she's cream-colored. We all know that. You don't need to say that. And your use of the word "the" confuses me, because the cream-colored bonbon. If you didn't have the, if I didn't have the words here, listeners would think, oh, it's an actual little piece of candy, like a bonbon. Just anyway, her teal unicorn friend, obviously Lyra, however, stopped and tilted her head at a most peculiar sight. Bonbon's cyanide followed Lyra's orange-colored gaze and found Fluttershy rushing out of the marketplace with a bag of assorted medicine. The pair had known Fluttershy was a nervous pony, but she was acting more so than usual. Sorry, I sped up there for a second. Hey, Fluttershy, what's with the bet? Lyra had started, approaching the pony. Oh, hey, girls. Need to come there. I'm, really sorry, but I'm kind of in the middle of something very, important. Excuse me, please. I'm sorry. Fluttershy said... Oh, she said that quickly. I wish I would have known that at the beginning. Anyways. Fluttershy said quickly and then flew off in the direction of her house. I wonder what that was all about. Bonbon... Why can't I scroll down? Okay. I wonder what that was all about. Bonbon turned to talk to Lyra. Fluttershy sure seemed to be in a rush. Oh my, she appears to have dropped her... I need to find a voice for her. I've got it. Number 3. Fluttershy sure seemed to be in a rush. Oh my, she appears to have dropped a bit purse as well. Bonbon lifted up a small green bag with a rosy bunny on it. Well, well, let's go give it back to her, Lyra said with a grin, snatching it from Bonbon's hoof. I don't know. She did seem a bit preoccupied, Bonbon said, looking unsure. Her stomach rumbled. She wanted to eat more than to go. She wanted to eat more than to go on an errand for a pony they barely know. Alright, that is tense confusion. That's just not gonna fly. She wanted to eat more than the pony they barely know. You have a past tense narration here. You can't be using you can't just throw present tense things around like that. And over here, this is awkward phrasing. Well, it doesn't fit correctly. She wanted to eat more than she wanted to go do this. You can't just... It just doesn't work. I'm sorry. Maybe we should wait for we bring it back, she suggested with a hopeful grin, and she nodded her head ecstatically. Ecstatically. Her mane of raspberry and blueberry swirls bouncing up and down. Nah. It gives me more reason to go check it out, Lyra responded. A mischievous... It gives me more reason to go check it out. A mischievous twinkle in her eye. She then ran off in the direction Fluttershy was heading, her fluorescent bazaar of green, silver, mane flying behind her. Oh, sea green, silver of a mane flying behind her. Bonbon realized Lyra's adventurous spirit was getting in the way of her appetite. She sighed, took her head, and ran after Lyra. She is a glutton, and a greedy one at that. Fluttershy had arrived at her home several minutes later. She was sweating heavily, and her wings ached. It had been a long, long time since she ever had to fly that fast. She let out a sigh and pushed open the door, and her eyebrow raised in suspicion the moment she stepped inside. There were some scratch marks on the other side of the door that hadn't been there when she left. The lights were somehow turned off, the darkened room only illuminated by a few windows. The soft sunlight came in through muted shafts, somehow giving the room a sinister air. The animals that had been cowering in the corner were no longer there. She observed that, in fact, she wasn't able to find any of the animals. Well, except for one. The little brown bunny that was now standing on the green couch on her hind legs. She was staring at the Pegasus with milky white eyes. Fluttershy let out an Fluttershy felt a little unnerved by it as she set down the medicine-filled bag and opened her mouth to speak. Oh, hello again, Miss Rabbit. I, see you're already up. I brought you some medicine to help you feel better. She displayed the bag of medicine that the rabbit seemingly ignored. Fluttershy felt a cold bead of sweat roll down her brow. You should probably lay back down. It's probably better for you. That is, if it's okay with you. Fluttershy had no idea why, but just the sight of the rabbit was putting her on edge. Her breath was sticking in her throat, and she was getting a creeping sensation up her spine that told her something was very, very wrong. At that point, another bunny hopped out from the shadows, stood in front of the couch, and stared at her with his own glossed over eye rides? I think you meant irises and just hit the D by accident. That's probably what it was. This other rabbit's fur was a snowy white. Angel? What are you... Fluttershy attempted to stammer out more, but even then more creatures emerged from the shadows of the cottage. Chipmunks, squirrels, ferrets, raccoons. Even a few birds came into view. They were all staring at her with milky, white eyes. Every fiber of Fluttershy's being screamed at her, "Run! Leave! Get out of here!" But her body would not obey, and she felt herself lock up in pure terror. Her heart thundered in her chest. She felt her stomach constrict and churn. She paled, and her eyes grew, her pupils shrinking. She let out a frantic series of terrified whimpers. Fluttershy watched hopelessly as her closet animal companion took a few steps closer. The brown rabbit hopped off the couch and followed Angel. Alright, I know this is a suspenseful moment, but I actually have to stop here and show you this. You see this here? Scroll up slightly so that doesn't get... This here, the brown rabbit, that's good. We don't have a name for him yet. It tells us exactly what it is, the brown rabbit. That's what we've been calling him. Her closest animal companion, however, is Angel. And differing opinions might put that as one of the birds or something else, or blah, blah, blah. You have to specify that it's Angel. That's called lavender unicorn syndrome. And I know you didn't use colors here, but that's still what it is. That's what we call it anyways. So just... yeah. Anyways, back to the story. The other animals slowly approached as well. Fluttershy felt her hooves knock over the bag of medicine as she backed against the wall and pressed against it closely, her breathing becoming frantic and shallow. Without warning, Angel lunged at Fluttershy, the other animals following suit. Fluttershy's eyes clenched shut as she opened her mouth to scream, but only strained air escaped her lips. She felt little jaws clamp down on her and sharp teeth tearing at her flesh. Fluttershy collapsed in a heap, and began to feel the world grow dark and cold. Oh, that's right. My little zombie. Brains are magic. They're all zombies. Bonbon's stomach roared in agony. It had been far too long since she and Lyra set out to return Fluttershy's big purse. She smiled slightly when they saw Fluttershy's house not too far away, a welcome sight after such a long walk, but her stomach bellowed once more in anguish. Must have food. She would argue with Lyra some more about stopping, getting a bite to eat, and then talking about this beforehand, but she quickly learned how futile and never what that was. Lyra had simply set her mind on it, and nothing was going to change it. They approached the front door, which was ajar for some odd reason. They could also not find any of Fluttershy's animal friends playing outside, or Fluttershy for that matter. Bonbon turned to frantically shake her head and make "we really should just leave" motions with her hooves. But found that Lyra, give her wings. Lyra had already gone inside. The Earth Pony took a deep breath and if you couldn't tell, I'm ADHD by the way. The Earth Pony took a deep breath and took her first tentative steps into the cottage. The only source of light in the entirety of the cottage was a faint shaft of muted light that dimmed. The only source of light in the cottage was a faint shaft of muted light. You don't say! That dimly shone through a curtained window. Bonbon jumped a bit when she stepped on and cracked a plastic bottle of pills. She looked down to see the bag of assorted medicine. Fluttershy had either spilled onto the floor along with other... I'm sorry, what? She looked down to see the bag of assorted medicine Fluttershy had either spilled onto the floor... Earlier! I'm sorry. Little bit of Liz Dexic moment there. She looked down to see the bag of assorted medicine Fluttershy had earlier spilled onto the floor. I think it would go better if you said she spilled onto the floor earlier, along with other knickknacks. I've never seen it spelled that way. That is interesting. She heard Lyra shriek in horror nearby. I suppose you could shriek in pain. Whatever. A shriek is usually just explanatory enough. Bonbon turned to see what the problem was, and her jaw hit the floor. Her gnawing, unavoidable hunger had suddenly vanished when she saw Fluttershy slumped against a wall. Her eyes were shut, and her mouth was slightly agape. Fluttershy was not breathing, nor did she give any other sign of life. Several small bite marks covered her body, and she was lying in a small puddle of blood. Lyra and Bonbon looked at each other, their eyes wide. Bonbon opened her mouth to speak when Fluttershy stirred a little. Both ponies snapped their attention to her, gripped with an instinctual terror. They watched Fluttershy get back on all four hooves, struggling as she did so. She raised her head to look at the two intruding ponies. Her eyes were milky white. Oh no, Fluttershy's a zombie! It had been years since the first infection. No pony really knew exactly how long it had been, and no pony seemed to bother keeping check anymore. The thriving village that had once been Ponyville was now ruins. Nothing there but charred husks and broken glass remained. Even the very earth and grass had taken on a this paragraph here would make a very good synopsis for the story. Scroll up. It doesn't reveal much. It grabs the reader into the story. And it's relevant. You could very easily place this as the synopsis for the story. I actually kind of recommend that if you haven't already. I should have read it first. I usually read the synopsis before I look at the story, but oh well. Anyways, I won't go. I'm this far down, so I'm not gonna go read it now. I'm almost done with the first chapter. The town was eerily quiet and still, with the exception of the clopping of hooves against the cobblestone road that echoed through the ruins. A single living earth pony was making her way through Ponyville. She was trotting down the village's streets, as she had frequented as a filly, back when the world was filled with vibrant colors and life, back when the sun shone brightly during the day for more than a few hours, back when the skies were clear and laughter filled the air. The pony stopped at the small, pathetic gazebo in the middle of the town square. I think pathetic is a matter of opinion, but alright. When she observed the buildings around it, she quickly discovered it was the only structure that hadn't been burnt to its frames or viciously torn down. Even the small wooden market stands surrounding the gazebo had been broken. A stinging cold wind brushed against her rosy mess of a mane. The filly trotted over to one of the broken stands and sighed. It was the stand her sister used to run. She used to help her on occasion, but for the most part her sister ran everything. Her sister had always been a very reliable pony. The filly rummaged slightly through the wreckage of the stall. Curious who this filly is. After a bit of shifting, she found a hat. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I thought it was Sweetie Belle for a second. It was made of worn tanned leather and was slightly charred. The pony gasped and gingerly lifted it by its brim. She set it down away from the wreckage and laid down next to it. She carefully nuzzled her forehead against the hat and slowly let out a few shaky, shuddering sobs. Tears began to roll out of her eyes as the sounds of her faint sobs now echoing through the sprawling ruins of Ponyville. Applejack? Applebloom said between her sobs and sniffles. Yes, I almost said Fluttershy. That was kind of scary. Alright, chapter 1 over. At this point, we're gonna break the video, and so, yeah.